Okay, folks, another one of these misty mountain ones, a few trees in front, a little bit of water and hills and whatnot. Okay, I'm just going to lay in the darks first. So, get myself some mineral spirits, myself some phthalo green, and some oxide red, get a nice darkness going. And some black, actually, a bit more phthalo green, a little bit more, I'll put a little bit of cadmium in it. Now all I'm doing here is I'm just laying down the idea of, it's a bit too watery. Well, actually it's okay, I'll just lay it down and I will go over it when it's dried. Now because of the, I'm just trying to figure out where to put things. How do I want things? I'll put a small drawing in first, actually, just to keep myself right. I'll have a bit of water coming here and actually make it come up a little bit further this time. I have a bit of a vision in my head. So he does. And I'll just lay this in here. Let me see. Yeah, a couple of trees coming up here. Boppity boop boop boo. Alright. Alright, I'll let that set up for a second. I'll tell you what I'll do is I'll hit pause here and I'll put the hair dryer on it. And I'll be back in a secondo. Alrighty then, let's fill out this tree here. Look myself a nice greeny coal green, you know, a bluey, cerulean blue coal green. Yeah, a little bit of darkness in it. Too much, too much, too much, too little, too... Okay, I'll do enough of that. Alright, now all I'm doing here is I'm just laying this down. Look at how dark that is, comparatively. I know, just laying it down. Hi folks, just a wee quick announcement. I've started one of those new member thingy-majigs, and I would really appreciate your support. It helps the channel and it helps me. Just click the wee join button below the video. It's only a couple of quid a month. Anyway, thanks folks, it's very much appreciated. And now let's get back to it. And scraping it on and scraping it off, and it's leaving a lot of texture behind. Okay. And I'm just going to allow for these trees. I'm just going to be a little bit more cautious with them, just where I want them to be. Alright, okay. Now I'm going to lay down the greens here first before I consider the sky. There's a few things here that I just want to put in these greens here. A little bit brighter. A little bit more green. And again, bearing in mind, folks, that this is all but a background painting. Ready for its letting it dry and then getting it. I'm just talking, folks. I'm sorry here. I'm just trying to fill the space. Just give me a second. Okay. You know, sometimes a little bit of quietness is not a bad thing. Now, I'm trying my best to keep some of this background color here showing through. I don't want to completely cover that up. I will be going back in again here and redoing the darker areas, which have now become light in contrast. Okay. Now we're going off slightly into the distance here. And you have to notice I'm still using the same brush. I just want a grey here. A good grey, and I'll use this. And a greeny grey, as it were. You know, a little bit of spirits because I'm dipping into the white. Or not spirits, that what is it called? Liquid Fine Detail. I use that to a bit brighter. I use that to help it dry faster. And there's a very important thing you have to remember here. When this is dried, you'll be able to tone this whatever way you want. Whatever way you want. So you will. Okay. I'm just taking a second. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay in some darks. I want to keep myself right as far as the darks go. So let's get them in. Bit of black there, lamp black that is, and a little bit of phthalo green. And some liquid fine detail. Let's just lay this in. You see, I'm just dancing this brush around. I'm not trying to completely cover everything up. So tempting to do so. You know, whenever you're beginning, you're like, oh, I've got to get it all completely covered. No, not really. Just let it be. Okay, now there's a little bit of warmth in these darks here, and I'm gonna put a little bit of coolness in the darks I'm going to be putting over here. Again, just dancing this about. And that's good now. Alrighty, ho. A little bit cooler over here just as well. Now, you can see that that is nice and rough. And that's the point of it. Keeping it nice and rough. Now I want a definite line coming down here, so I'm going to put that in now. Just along here, just to separate this plane here with the plane behind it. Now I've gone a little bit too dark, but that's fine, folks. That is fine. I will make that up now. And trying my utmost here to keep texture. Alright, now that will do for now. Okay. Now this is what I'm doing here is I'm kind of mixing on the palette. Just taking a little bit of blue here, and I've already got this down here, so I'm just going to work the two together. Now that blue is a bit dark for me for the time being, but it's okay for now. I'm going to have a little bit of a thing of water running up here. Running up in this direction. If I remember. Tell you what I'll do, I'll mark for it now. This is a dry brush, and I'm just taking that off. Okay, I'm going to lay in some more of the darks. Now these are cool darks up in this area here, so plenty of this blue, ultramarine blue. In fact, I'm just going to hit it almost pure ultramarine blue. A little bit of this into it, but the reason being is that I will tone it whenever. There's a wee bush type thing up in there. Another wee one along here, just as reminders for the time being. Just to keep me right, as it were. I'm going to put in the sky here. If I get myself, there we go, a nice little brush to do the job. This is a bluish, greyish, greenish sky. So let's get it done. Pretty bright too. I want a nice bright sky. Yeah, you know what? Nope, that's wrong. Don't want that. So I don't. So we'll start over here. Mostly with white, just to counter what I've done there, and then I will come along and do my things whenever it's dried. And let me see. I need to take a moment to myself here. Getting carried away here. Okay, so. All right. There we go. It's a bit better, alright, innit? Lovely. Doing the job, it's doing the job. Again, just changing things up, mixing it on the palette or on the easel, just mixing it on the painting already. I'm just messing about with it for now, and I'll come in and just work it in. Look at that. And that's doing the job. Rightly. I want this in the back here to be quite undefined, quite misty. Let me see, I'm looking for a little brush here just to keep things clean, as it were. Alright, good. Now, I just want to soften some of the edges here. This here. I don't want it to have that definite blue streak. That blue, there we go. Just defining that, and the same down here as well. I just want to remove, I don't want you to see much going on up in here. So I don't. But I also want it to be a little bit darker in some areas. That's too green. Too green, folks. Nice and gentle. Look at the way I'm just barely touching the canvas here. I'm just working this around. I'm giving the impression that there is a distant hill there that's being hidden in the fog. Alright. Now I'm going to go back to the tree here. If I can find, there it is. Is this the brush I was using for the tree? I don't think it is. Here it is. Alright. A little bit of spurge just to loosen this up. A little bit of liquid fine detail as well for the same reason. And to help it dry a bit faster. And all I'm doing now is just working in the edges of this tree here. I don't really want to, it's a bit bright, so I'm going to slightly darken it a touch. Just to, when I say it's a bit bright, I mean, you're not going to really notice the difference. Well, you know, it was a bit bright. Okay, now, not wanting to get too ahead of myself, I'm just going to be nice and gentle at the minute. And keep reminding myself that this is not alla prima. I'm not doing alla prima here. And it's because sometimes you can just, I can just get myself carried away in the moment. And then the next thing I'm having to backtrack everything. So all I mean by that is it's not alla prima. This is something that I will let dry and then come along and redo. And like, not, my head's a wee bit foggy today, folks, so just bear with me. All I mean is whenever it's dry, I'll be able to come along and add details on the top of it and retone it and do things like that. That's all. Right, so while I have this color here on the palette, I'm going to use it to lay in the a bit of water here. Is that, it's a bit, it's okay. It's okay for now. Right. The amount of brushes I go through at times is, it's a bit, so it is, it's a bit. Okay. But you can't limit yourself because you're using too many brushes. That's not the way it works. It's just the way I do it. Nice pinky waters over here. Very nice. And let's get in some sand colors here. Just to, I'll use the brush. I'll use this brush here. Okay. Nice grayish sand color. Now, yeah, if you look on the palette, you can see it there. Nice gray sand color here. And maybe a bit darker. You know, there are 1,000 ways to do a painting. You can let it dry, you can do it when it's wet. Well, actually, it seems there's only 2 ways to do it, but you know what I mean. There's many, many different ways to apply the paints. Different types of painting, different types of paints, and so on. Okay, for the time being, I'm going to just let it be. Now, I have all but covered it. Now, there's still the thing of the trees here, and I want to add a little bit more grass to this area here a little bit later. Tiny green. Let me see. And a little bit later still, I'll add a little bit of white to it, just to lift that a touch. And a little bit of blue just to cool it down. Alrighty. That's okay. A little bit more saturation in certain areas, just purely for variation. That's all. Always better to have that varied thing going on. That's not bad. A little bit better over here. Pretty much near enough the same, I would say, but A little bit warmer, a little bit more saturated because it's slightly closer here than up in here. When things are closer, you see the colors more. So that's why you add the saturation. Righty-ho, righty-ho, oh boy. All right. So what I think I'll do is I will mark for these trees. No, I won't. I won't. I will put them in preliminary. Okay. All right, a little bit taller. I will let the brush do the rest of the work now. Nah, it's a bit. There we go. We'll start off with some cool darks. Ultramarine blue, a little bit of cerulean, and some black. A little bit of liquid fine detail, and it's just to put in the bases of these. Alright. And when I say to put in the bases of these, I don't mean the base of the tree down in here. I mean the base color. Or at least I don't just mean the base tree. And what I think I'll do is, while I have it on my brush, I will just continue with the little bushes that I wiped out earlier. There's another, I'll put one here. Okay. And then a nice one here. It'll be a bit more apparent whenever I get it dried. Okay, now almost done for the underpainting here, folks. Let's see here. Just being random, folks. Well, not really random. I'm just beating into it here, but I'm not trying to completely cover everything up. I can sort these trees out whenever they're dry. I can sort them out now when they're wet, but I'm going to wait until they're dry. Because it's the way I like to do it these days. There we go. Now let me see where we be. Let me see where we be. Okay. Now there's a definite thing here that I'm not keen on, so I'm just going to use my Fingy to just work this together. Create more of a gradient there. Just a slight more gradient. There we go. Alright, now what I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to stop this one for now. And then come back whenever it has dried and finish it. Add more details. Lots of little textures here and there. Add more darks and more tones and lights and all of that. I'll see you again in the next one. Or a little foggy head today, folks. I will see you whenever I come back to finish this one. Bye for now. Alright, folks, now back to this one. Now, on this one, I want to make it a bit bluer, not a bit, yes, a bit colder in certain areas. Now, a lot of this paint that I have down is kind of semi-dry. I haven't been painting in a little bit. But what I'm doing here is I'm just going, oh, too much. Too much. I'm going to add in a cool ultramarine, maybe a tiny bit of cerulean. But just to cool these areas down a touch. Let me see, yeah, just not so bad. Okay, now over here, now I'm going to really take a lot off the brush here because I don't want to add too much over here. I'm going to be putting this on and then I'm going to be wiping it off. Just want to blue this area up along here. Keep that nice and rough, you see that? That'll give us the impression that there are things off here in the distance. I don't want to really make it obvious that I'm going around those trees either. I don't, so... Now, look at that. That's just a little bit of glazing. Look at what a little bit of glazing can do. So, a little bit of kitchen roll here and just clean the trees off a touch. Okay. Now, I want to brighten up the sky a little bit, just a touch. A little bit of white here, a little bit of red, and really just a pinkish glaze that's going on this. Almost nothing on the brush. I'm going to take a good bit off the brush here. Yeah, probably a bit brighter. And you see, I'm just scumbling this on and glazing it on. There. And that creates a bit of a better contrast, I think. Let me see now. Get over into this area over here. Oh, a bit too dark. A bit too dark. Just here and just create some. It's too harsh. That's too harsh. Oh. Yeah, it's just soften that up a bit. Ah, no. Right. Create some eye holes here. Could I use this brush or? I think I'll use a smaller brush. A bit more pointed, just. Nothing special about the brush, just a cheap round brush from Jackson's, I think it is. Alright, a bit better. Excuse me. Just glazing these in, just as a wee. I'm taking a good bit off the brush. I have to keep reminding myself to do that. Alright, now we're getting there. Now, the center of these, I'm just going to put in the odd little tiny bit of a brighter hole, or just to let that pop out a little bit. That's good. Right. Now, what my goal here today is just I'm going to put in some detail, a lot of detail, and see where it takes us, eh? Okay, some yellow, some oxide red, a little bit of the blue, get a nice greeny grey going here. And then just glaze it out. This is all for the edges here, the edges of these trees. Hardly really putting it on the brush and then really scraping it off. I want a cooler blue than what I've made there. So a little bit of cerulean, and then the rest here, just using what's on the palette and really scraping it off the brush. So I just want the edges here to be all scraggledy. I don't want them to be pointed or anything. I don't want it a little bit darker than that though. That's too dark. Okay, yes. That's still too dark. Still a bit too dark. My plans here. That's a bit better now. Making these trees dance out a little bit up into the sky. Giving them those scraggledy edges. Alright. Okay, now. Almost a pure blue here. Just on this wee tree over here. I want it nice and cool. This one here, and the base of these two. Nice and cool, and over here as well. Because it's a glaze, you'll see the green coming through this. Very nice. Okay. Just spreading this glaze out a little bit here and there, creating a divot and a pit here and there, and as you can see, it's just creating a lot of texture. All right. Now you don't want things to be too obvious, so I'm going to be working this in and wiping some of it off. Right. Nice darkness to the base of those trees. Now, let me see here. I want to lighten the front of this area here a touch. But I still want it to be a greyish green for now. I'll maybe change my mind in a momento. A little bit of phthalo. Not much. A little bit of the white and a little bit of that red. What's already down. So I'm cool as well. A little bit of that cool green. Or that, what is that called? That, cerulean. Aye, that's good now. Wee tiny bit grayer. So some ultramarine, some white there to what I had already mixed. And I'm trying to color the whole thing in, just creating a lot of patches there. You see that? Yes, that watch worked well. So that's okay. The same over here. Different now. I mixed it a little bit different. It's a tone or two darker over here. Just roll that on. Look at that. That creates lovely edges. really gives you a very unique type of edge. Very good. Now, it's a bit it's bright. It's good over here, but I don't want the same brightness over here. I'm going to dull it down just a touch. A little bit of blue and a little bit of raw umber. Let me see. I don't want it to be the same, though. A little bit of a highlight. Just rolling it on. Let me see. Just creating those edges. All right, now I'm going to just go for a slightly different color. Just for, what do you call it? Just for interest, you know? Basically, just for interest. A little bit of raw umber. And plenty of white. Let me see what we have here. This might be a bit too saturated. I'm going to add a little bit of green to this reddish color. And then just going to add dabs of it here and there. You want to see how bright that is. It's almost there, folks. Just a little bit more raw umber, just to bring it back a touch. Just to knock the brightness out of it. There we go. Oh, that's much better. Yes, that's much better. And then the occasional, just almost pure red one, pure oxide red. Right. And that is to create some interest. So let's work on the greenery here, this roadish part. I'm just going to see what I want to close it off a bit. I'm not too happy with the way it's featured here. Oh, get another brush. And that's a little bit darker. Cutting the edge of that off, like so. Okay. Right. Let me see what I think of that. Not quite there yet. Not quite there. Oh, a bit too much blue. Let me see him. Just kind of want to cut this off a bit here. I think it's a bit too straight of a line here. I'm not that keen on that at the minute. Okay, so yeah, that kind of breaks that line up a little bit. Not as much as what I would like, but I have to keep in mind that this is waterline here, so I will put a little bit of a flick in there for you to see it. It's not there quite yet. Now, this will do for the reflection here of this tree. Bring it over a bit and just letting that come down a touch. No, I think I've gone a bit too far with that, so let's come back a bit. Just a bit here. It's a bit too blue, a little bit of white on it. Tiniest bit of that pinkish that I had. There we go, a little bit of liquid. Yes, just. There we go. All right, okay. All right. A little bit more pink for another area here. Okay, it's coming on rightly, I think. A little bit of blue. Make this into a nice watery, reflective color here. A bit too saturated. Okay, so I'm going to use a little bit of black just to knock it back. A little bit of black and white. Ah, mistake. That's a mistake. A little bit of raw umber, actually. I'll change my mind on that. A little bit of raw umber. Right, okay, I'm not happy with that. So the whole thing is coming off. Now, what will be left behind, sorry, will be the dry paint that I had already done. So, taking that off and redoing this. Not happy with this at all. Right, so let me see, maybe use another brush. or not, this one will do. If I use it properly. I just went a bit too dark there. And I fear that I might be doing the same thing here. No, I'm okay. Oh yes, that's much better. That is much better. I just want to redo. I just want to do this road here now. Nice grayish road, so that you know where you're headed. I want to check that that's bright enough. It is. It's okay. Yeah. Okay. I'm just going to have a wee look at the tree, just having a wee general look. I'm still going to put in some tree barks here, or tree trunks, I should say. I've got a lot of color on the palette, so I'm just going to use what's here. All right. Okay. Very good. Actually, not bad at all. Now, just slightly darker one up further on in, just along here. Just let it disappear up into the tree. I see now. How many more? You know, I'll get a nice reddish one going. Okay, so let's see here. That's good. And just a wee tiny thinner one beside it, just. Give it a bit of company. Right, just so that the trees look embedded. I'm going to hold on a wee second before. No, I'm not finished yet. I just want to. Right, just so the trees look embedded, I'm just going to cut a little bit of them out here and there, like so, and that looks like it's going into the tree. That the leaves and the branches are growing over it. Now the road. Let's work a little bit on the road. Not much. Just a touch. Okay. I'm pretty much the same action with the trees. Just wiggling the brush and just letting it happen. You just want to create that idea of cracks and what have you, and rocks and divots and this and that. Now, I am going to knock it back a touch. Okay, and I want to edge this water just a little bit. So I do, so I do, so I do, so I do, so I do. It's a nice semi-dark color. Just along here, just to give us the idea that this water ends along here somewhere. And make the brush a little bit fluidic, you know. Oh, almost done a bad one there. Almost done a boo-boo. I picked up the brush and was sure that it was clean. Nah, I mean, it just nothing bad would have happened. I would have just had a hustle cleaning it all up. So yeah, it was not clean. Okay, and I'm just going to take a little water line here, just along here. Very hard for you to see that. So, let me see now. I think I'm going to make the this area here a bit brighter still. A little bit more saturated. I want it to seem as if the light is just any light that's in the painting is hitting it there. And the beautiful thing about painting, whenever the underpainting is completely dry, is that the texture it gives you is quite unique. It really can create some beautiful textures. Okay, now I do want this to be blended in a little bit around the edges here, so it's slightly darker, just to bring it in just a touch, but you don't see that sharp cutoff. Yeah, that blended it in a bit. I'm just having a wee look at the tree, and I'm not entirely sure about it. Right, so let's make myself sure about it. A little bit of ultramarine, a little bit of raw umber and some green. Now I want a coolish green here, but at the same time, a nice sage green actually might be nice. Sagey green. Let me see here. Just want to. Is it? I think it's a bit bright, just a little bit too warm. So blue and blue, cerulean blue and ultramarine blue. Look at that. There we go. That's better. Yes, happier with that now. Nice and cool in the corner there. Yes. Okay, now just for variation, interest, a little bit of a fiery red here, just, well, not fiery red, oxide red. Alright, okay. And then some dark, just some darkness in it, because without the darkness, you have no light, isn't that right? Bob Ross, I think. Alright, taking a whole lot off the brush. This is just a glaze. Just laying down some darker patches in here. Bit of a dry brush, just to blend it in a touch. Alright. Let me see now. Let me give myself a moment here just to look at it. Alright, folks. I think that'll do me. And there's a little misty, foggy hill place. And if you would, please like and subscribe. And I've done one of those member things. And if you feel like help supporting, work away. And I'll see you in the next one. So, bye for now.